organisations that use it, the MAVs, Robert has mentioned that our own officials use it. I can guarantee that there isn't a constituency office in the country that doesn't have a very well-worn one of these copies of these books. Sorry, where was that phone? I just knocked it down. It's one of the most used booklets that we have, particularly in my own constituency office, so I'll be rather if you to bring them home. It's a really valuable resource, and the reason the department values it so much is because there is a lot of confusion. Our social welfare system is quite big, and sometimes it's confusing, and particularly when people are reliant on certain benefits, and people rely on the benefits. There are fears amongst people that if they do take up employment, even whether it's part-time or full-time, that they will lose some of the things that they genuinely, absolutely rely on and need on. The book gives really clear, concise, factual details of what your entitlements are, how long you will keep those entitlements, the ones that you get to keep forever, the ones that you get to keep on a graduate basis. And it's in a really simple and clear, understandable way, so that even people like the people in my own office can understand it, and then we can explain it to the people that come in that we're here to serve. To my knowledge, it's the only publication, and I think that's a huge credit that it is such a professional, simple booklet to your organisation, and I want to give credit to the people that are actually responsible, led by Robert here, to devising the style and the pattern of the book, and the quantity of the distribution outlets that you send them to that I know rely on them. For me, the priorities that are set out in the programme for government is not only to develop work activation modules for people who are on the live register, but to make sure that we provide the services, the support and the help for people who potentially are underemployed to get more employment if they want to, but most importantly the people who potentially don't have the skills to be work ready for a wide variety of reasons. And there's no one box that ticks everybody. Different people have different challenges in their life, to make sure that we provide the services and the supports that can address all of those needs. And it isn't just through our intro offices, although I think they do a fabulous job. And I think the challenge from us, from a department, is to provide a consistency across every single intro office and DSP office around the country of that level of service. And I know they definitely strive to it, and the targets are there. But to make sure that if there is a cross-departmental need for people who have particular challenges, that we identify that need and to put the resources and the supports in place to assist those people's needs. And just maybe a small couple of examples of those is that we launched an ability programme last week or the week before that's specifically challenged to address people with disabilities, and to help those identify services and supports that would help people with disabilities, and particularly young people with disabilities, to be work ready. There's another issue that was highlighted at our mental health forum last week, that we have tens of thousands of people in this country who are either on illness benefit or disability benefit because of mental health issues. We need to wrap around the services from the Department of Health, the Department of Education and our own Department of Social Welfare to make sure that we provide the services for people. I suppose in light of the ongoing development of the range of back to work supports, the initiatives for unemployed people, I hope to legislate in a couple of months the book's, I suppose, core focus on employee rights. And when you look at some of the people who are only in part-time employment and some of the practices, and I'm at pains to say that it's only a very small number of employers, that potentially don't give the information and the employee rights to their employers that they should give. And sometimes it's as simple as the name of your employer, the address where your employer's office is, the number of hours that you're going to get next week, albeit that you might have been working so many hours for the last couple of months or the last years. That practice needs to be established and enshrined in law. There's a piece of legislation that's currently being drafted that will enshrine those miscellaneous rights, from banded hours contract to 0 hour contract, outlawing them, to ensuring that the minimum employee rights are provided to you within the first 5 days of an employee taking up employment with their new employer. They seem like simple things, but for thousands of people in this country, they're things that they struggle with on a weekly basis because they just can't get the information from the employer, or they can't get some qualified determination as to what you're going to be able to work next week or the week after. It's as simple as being able to take it home to the bank. If you are working more hours than your contract actually says, that's not worth a fiddler's flute to the bank. They don't care. I need to be able to provide a security of employment for people in law, and that's one of my determinations, is to get that piece of legislation published before Christmas, and if I can be really bold, to get it into the House before Christmas and get it one last thing I'll say with regard to the budget, because Anne mentioned at the beginning. I can't tell you in stronger terms of how much aware I am of people who are living on fixed incomes from the social contract that exists in this state. And the reason we have a social contract is because God forbid that any one of us finds ourselves in a situation or a time in our lives where you need a helping hand. That's what the state's there to do. There's a business of that different elements of the state look down on different elements of the state. That needs to be blown out of the water. Every single one of us are Irish citizens. Every single one of us pay into a system that's there to catch us when we fall, to put us back up on our feet, to make sure that we get the best chances, the best supports, and the best services from the state, the taxpayers' money, which is your money and my money, to get us back into be able to a situation of whether we will look after ourselves, and whether that's a disability, whether it's an illness, whether it's an accident. It's our responsibility to make sure that Irish people are treated with dignity and with respect. And I was brought up that way by two very working class people, union people, and I have never forgotten it and I will never forget it. It's my job to make sure that the recovering economy reaches everybody's household, not just the taxpayer. And I'm going to do my very, very level best. I have my first meeting with the Minister for Finance today. So I'm going to do my very best to make sure that I live up to my responsibilities to all of the people that you serve on a daily and weekly basis. And I'll do my very best not to let you down. So just to congratulate you sincerely on this publication. It's a real privilege for me to be able to be here and be associated with it. And I wish you continued success in the years to come. And I look forward to the dialogue that we will have.